Hey everyone, welcome to Unique Ways with Thomas Gerard, an audio podcast. We have a notable guest on today. He consults with companies and organizations worldwide on design and innovation. He's an early proponent of inclusive design, and he lectures internationally on research and the future of design. He established ThinkActHuman with the goal of design for a better world. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Dan Formosa. Welcome.
Hi, Thomas. Thanks for having me on.
Are you ready for 20 questions?
I sure am.
Great. Question one. Tell me a little bit more about yourself. What do you do?
Well, professionally, I'm a designer. I design products and services. Um, but I think looking beyond that, I try to improve people's lives through design. Design is about uh, people, not things. So I tend to focus on the outcome of design to improve or to modify someone's existence or life. I tend to focus on that, and the thing that I design is secondary to that goal.
Great. And just a note for the audience, if you guys are interested in other big 2025 episodes, please check out the episode with Kareem Rashid. Question two. What's a key piece of knowledge that makes you different?
Well, I've got a background in industrial design, but I also have a master's and a PhD in ergonomics and biomechanics. So, biomechanics is literally the engineering of the human body. So that does a couple of things. The PhD does a couple of things. Of course, it it makes me knowledgeable about biomechanics and ergonomics, but it's also I guess on the periphery of that, I understand how to quantify things, how to measure things, how to prove things. Um, I'm good at reading research reports. I understand quantitative and qualitative research, probably more than someone who has not been through the background that I've been through.
Great. And question three. Why this of all things? Why do you do what you do?
Well, it was a bit of a accident, I guess, and probably everyone says that about their whatever their job is at the moment or profession is at the moment. But when I was in high school, I was into art and I was into engineering. I was really good at physics and chemistry, and I was really good at art and very interested in art. And I didn't know which direction to go. And of course, in the US or the Western system, you go into art or you go into some science related background, and there's a unfortunate division of those two things. But I had an art teacher who suggested at the nth hour that I look into industrial design or product design, and I did, and that seemed to be some of both worlds, be some of both worlds. So I started applying to design schools, product design schools.
Great. And some people struggle with number four. And the question is, what does your future look like?
Uh, it's probably a cliche, but it's always about change. The constant thing in my life is change. So things are always different. I've always been a consultant in design. I've never worked directly for a corporation. And in doing that, I get involved in a wide range of categories. Could be anything from household products or kitchen items to cars to hospital equipment, surgical equipment. I get involved sometimes in litigation for expert witness for court cases, whether it's patent litigation or liability cases. I don't do that a lot, but it comes to me. I get requested once in a while. So I like all these diversions. I really don't know what's going to be happening next when we're talking work-wise.
Great. And five, we say, is unique to this show. The question is, let's talk about location. How does the notion of place play into what you do?
I grew up in the New York City area. So I grew up in Secaucus, New Jersey, which is across the river from Manhattan, across the Hudson River from Manhattan, where I could see the Empire State Building out the window of my house. So I was never far away from the city. At the same time, I never lived in the evil city, especially when I was growing up. The city was just in very dismal shape in terms of being strapped and out of money, and crime was horrendous. And it's really unbelievable how bad the city was when I was growing up. There was no pollution control, a lot of manufacturing in Manhattan. So it's kind of a horrible place. That being said, I was always very close to Manhattan, to New York City, but also lived in a house that had a front yard and a backyard and a neighborhood, and lived on a dead end street. We could just play in the street, lots of kids. So it's really night and day when you cross that bridge, the Washington Bridge or the Lincoln Tunnel, and get on the New Jersey side. So probably, now I read a book from Stephen Johnson called Where Good Ideas Come From. And he talks about cities in the same way he describes or being similar to a coral reef. And in a coral reef, you have all these different life forms and all these things emerging. There's so much activity in a coral reef, and it's a great place for inspiration. So I was able to come in and out of that coral reef, New York City, get in there, get as much culture as I can absorb, and then escape. So I think that had an effect. I will also say that I also lived about 3 blocks away from an amusement park, which means like a real amusement park with a roller coaster and rides and, games and things like that. And that may have had a subtle influence because when I would sit in my backyard, I would hear the calliope in the background, and I'd hear the roller coaster and hear people scream as the roller coaster went down, very faint. So I don't know, maybe that just gave me a sense of uh, lightness or happiness, just being not in that environment, but so close to it that I could hear it.
Great. And six, you're starting from the beginning. What advice do you give your former younger self?
I would tell myself to trust myself more. I was always like a little shy. I was always like a little quiet. And I would have told myself to get more vocal and get a little more proactive about things and don't sit back and watch the world happen, which I did. And it's very like sort of relaxing and quiet and, gave me time to think. But I think the advice would be to get more vocal, stop being so shy, get out there. I would tell myself that I should learn to sing because I wish I could sing really well. I probably have a lot. Oh, play the piano. I could play guitar, but not piano. Uh, Things like that. I think, and I'm probably talking now at a relatively early age, in my teens and not before, because I think that's where a lot of your personality and really your outlook on life gets formed.
Great. And what's a day in your life like?
That varies. Lately, I've been writing a lot and thinking a lot. Um, but I work, independently, and I work with a collective of people. So, I'm on Zoom often, and I'm orchestrating projects or people that I work with. I'm not that thrilled about working in an office because I think there are just too many norms that people follow. I'm not happy with conference rooms because some people go into a conference room to start thinking or get creative. I don't think that's a good place to get creative. So I'm kind of anti-conference room. And I think best thing to do is surround yourself with interesting people and give yourself time to think. I've got a hot tub at my house, and every once in a while, if I really need to think, I go to the hot tub. I give a lot of talks, and one of the talks I give is where do you get your best ideas? I could be talking to like, 100 or a couple hundred people. I say, where do you get your best ideas? And no one ever says conference room. They say what you think they would say. They say in the shower or driving a car. So I just get into the car or I take a shower or I sit in the tub.
Nice. And eight is about lifelong learning. It's a popular topic. How do you stay up to date?
About 15 years ago, I co-founded the Masters in Branding program at the School of Visual Arts. And it's a graduate course, obviously, master's in branding, and it's more like a business course than any sort of art course. It's not an art or design course at all. It's really about business and brands and a lot of topics surrounding brands. Um, my course then is about design and design research and market research and how that forms the brand. You know, the thing you create is the brand. It's the best representative of your brand. And because I'm teaching, and it's not a big part of my life. I teach in the spring semester, maybe 10 or 15 courses, evenings, one day a week. But because I've got 20 to 30 grad students, current and past grad students, I'm just kind of forced to stay current. So, they teach me as much as I teach them. So I think teaching is a way to force yourself to keep learning because you have to.
Great. And nine is about tools. Do you use both digital and analog tools?
I don't want to date myself, but I'm the first person I know who had an email address. And this goes back a long way. So I jumped on the tech bandwagon ages and ages ago. Now, the trick with being the first person I know to have an email address is I didn't have anybody to email. But eventually people latched on. And if someone was in a university, they may have had an email address. Um, but typically not in business. So I'm not a digital nomad in the sense that I don't go to Starbucks or coffee shops, or I don't work remotely with a laptop as much. I am usually at my desk at my laptop with a big screen. I may work from my phone if I'm really out somewhere on the road, or sometimes I'm just getting away from my desk and, returning text messages or email by my phone. But I'm not a digital nomad in the sense that I am out at coffee shops or in the park working away.
Great. And halfway number 10, how do you deal with work-life balance?
Well, I work from my home studio, which is saves a lot of time because commuting is such a waste of time. And, I'm outside of Manhattan, so getting in and out of Manhattan is always a job in itself. Even if you live in Manhattan or in New York City, anywhere like Brooklyn or Queens or wherever in New York City, really is a time suck to commute back and forth. So I work from my home studio. That saves me a lot of time. I have three children. I have a son who's just about to be six, turn six, and twin girls who are 4.5. And so that's a constant reality check. And they're at a very cool age because they're just starting to understand the world or misunderstand the world. And really is a reality check to talk to them and just listen to their thought processes, like what they're experiencing at that age. It just is really like fun every day.
Nice. And if you weren't doing what you do now, what might you be doing?
Rock star,
What would
because I'd
you,
have to figure out how to do that. Um, but yeah, I would. I'm jealous of anybody who went into music and is successful at it and is doing that every day. So I would say something music related, rock star if possible. Um, the other thing, I started several years ago. I was asked by Condé Nast, Bon Appetit, Epicurious to do a video for YouTube, and they asked me to critique some kitchen gadgets. And the first episode went surprisingly well because it was just ad lib trying these kitchen gadgets. So Uh, over the course of a couple of years, I was the host of this show called Well Equipped, and we did 39 episodes and have over 60 million views, which is considerable. So that series ended, but I'm starting to talk about plans for a possible new series, YouTube series or TikTok series or Instagram or something. So that's in the works.
Very cool. 12, what would you not like to do with your career?
Oh, anything harmful to other people. And you can do that with, design is um, I got into inclusive design because design is a form of segregation. You can include people or exclude people by design. You don't have to touch the person to disable them. You can just make an environment or products that don't allow them to participate. So I would not want to go the other way and do anything that is excluding people or is harming people at all. I do some expert witness work, and um, that's a whole different world. If it's product liability, for instance, if someone got injured, so I could be very careful to make sure that I am not just taking sides because I was enlisted to take sides. I just want to make sure that the expert witness I'm doing is actually not damaging unfairly damaging to someone.
Great. And do you have a favorite word, quote, or sentence?
I always like the word defenestrate.
Great.
So, defenestrate means to throw someone out of a window.
Hmm.
Now, why you would need a word for that, I'm not sure, and I guess that's why I like the word. You can also use it to say throw anything out the window, but really it is to the real definition, defenestrate is to throw someone out of a window.
Hmm.
Now, the other definition is to remove or dismiss someone from a position of authority or power.
Hmm.
So it's used in that context too, although I kind of like the window version.
Hmm. And do you have a least favorite word, quote, or sentence?
Yeah, a couple of things make me cringe when I hear them. So one of them is when someone says, if it's not broken, don't fix it, because that is anti-progress, right? We'd be still on horses. Um, and that comes up a lot. If you really listen for it, you hear it once in a while. It just makes me cringe.
Hmm.
I think the other one is uh, without further ado. Someone's giving a talk and they're talking and they say, without further ado. I'm not even sure what ado means, but people seem to say it often. And I just wish they didn't.
Great. So 15, you're choosing one word to describe yourself. What word do you choose?
Inconsistent,
And what
but
keep
but but in a good way. What I mean by that is versatile, which means hopefully that one day is different than the next. And I feel that way, one day is different than the next. I could be doing something one day and totally different topic the other day. And so maybe flexible is a better word or versatile, but inconsistent is probably the way I would describe myself.
what keeps you up at night?
Anything I can't control. That could be anything from work wise to, volcanoes erupting somewhere in the Far East.
Great. And final stretch here. What's a dream you're chasing?
I think it's true inner bliss, just be true inner happiness would be a dream. I think like more realistically. I've been playing guitar for a long time and I'm pretty good at playing guitar. But a dream would be to be amazing at playing guitar.
Hmm.
So I am in the probably upper level of being pretty good, but I hear people who are just amazing and they play at the speed of light or they do just these amazing things on guitar and that's been a constant dream for a very long time.
18, what inspires you?
I think along those same lines is anybody who can perform. And I guess I mean playing an instrument or singing in front of people, that sort of performance. I can speak. I give a lot of talks and I give talks internationally and I can speak in front of hundreds or sometimes it's literally thousands of people. And I have no problem. I'm very relaxed. I'm very like, impromptu in my talk. But if I have to play guitar in front of five people, I freeze.
Mm,
So I am very impressed by anyone who can perform anything. Could be a stand-up comic, it could be a singer, could be a dancer. Anyone who is on a stage and they have to perform.
mm. Great. And last couple here. Number 19, any advice you'd like to share?
Think to anyone, think wide and get out of your bubble because I see a lot of people who have a bit of tunnel vision, whether it's their profession or their personal lives. Think just think wide and get out of your bubble.
Great. And finally, number 20, how can our listeners keep tabs on you and what's our call to action?
I am very accessible. So my website is thinkacthuman.com, three words, no space, thinkacthuman. And that reflects, what I'm after in terms of my consulting work. I also just started an initiative called Stay Human. And that website, which we just posted a week or so ago, it's a pretty simple website, but it's stayhumanstudio.com. And I'm doing that with Fiona McIver, who is she has a PhD in design strategy. And we started this initiative looking at or helping companies look at the topic of design and emotion, because I think emotion is not very well understood by a lot of companies or brands. And then, of course, LinkedIn is my name. That's easy. Instagram is my name, Dan Formosa, with no space. So it's LinkedIn for design related content or Instagram for odd photos that I post.
Great. Well, thanks so much for joining us today. It's a real privilege to have you on the show. Very grateful. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much, Thomas.